Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. This Saturday night, the WBC featherweight champion Magsayo will look to prove his title reign is no fluke. And that's something he's going to have to prove, man, when he battles Rey Vargas. The action goes down from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, 9 o'clock on Showtime. Let me tell you guys right now, if you don't know who Magsayo is, you don't know who Vargas is, then you're not a true boxing fan. Now, these guys haven't crossed over like the bigger names, but true boxing fans and people in boxing circles know this is a fight you don't want to miss. This is going to be one of those fights where someone's going to get knocked out, and someone's going to get knocked out cold. This is along the lines of the Joe Smith, Berta type fight, the Tank Davis, Rolly Romero type fight. Now, see, those names have crossover appeal. People know about those names inside and outside of boxing. Rolly and Tank, much bigger names. Joe Smith, Berta probably next in line. And then these guys will probably be a tier lower than Smith and Berta. But as far as the fight they're going to bring to the ring, on the same level, maybe even bigger. Okay? Now, Magsayo, who's 24-16 knockouts, he won his title in January, taking a majority decision against Gary Russell Jr. Russell entered the fight. He was dealing with a right shoulder injury, which, good on him for not making excuses, postponing the fight anymore, to come in there and fight and show his true grit. Stupid on his part, because he came into the fight injured against a Filipino monster. And as a result, he ended up hurting himself during the fight again and basically finished the fight after like round 4 or 5. I can't remember which round it was, but he ended up finishing the fight with just basically his left hand. And he still put it to the judges' scorecards and lost on a majority decision, which they had him winning on one of them. But Gary Russell Jr., in my opinion, if he doesn't, trigger that shoulder injury, he wins that fight. Because he missed so many opportunities to let that right hand go. He was just left hand crazy. And he was doing damage. But he just couldn't use his right hand to really defend. He couldn't throw hooks. He couldn't throw jabs. He couldn't do anything after he injured that right arm. And after the fight, he had to go get surgery. So that's let you know he was severely handicapped against a monster and still almost beat him with one hand. Okay? But the fight was close throughout, and Magsayo, with Freddie Roach in his corner, knew to move to his left, and, he just knew what to do, and Freddie Roach was giving him the guidance. But at the end of the day, Magsayo did enough to reach out to edge out the decision, and that 7-year title reign that Russell had, which, in my opinion, he didn't get enough opportunities in his prime. The inactivity eventually catches up to you. And I think that's just what happened with Gary Russell, man. The inactivity just caught up to him, injuries. It's like, and I'm going to tell you, like, from experience, I used to run marathons, very active in sports and stuff like that. I had kids. It's been 12 years since I've really consistently been in the gym, from running, lifting weights, boxing, everything. I may every couple of months go in there and mess around, but nothing consistent since my first son was born. And I tell you what, that kind of inactivity, man, it is hard. Let me tell you, your body, man, your body will let you know. I have different type of injuries and stuff like that, and soreness and things that happen now that probably would have never happened if I was still staying active and utilizing those muscles and just, doing what I was normally doing, making sure the joints are properly lubricated and everything. Because when you're active, that's what your body does. It's like a vehicle, man. Exercise is maintenance. But with Gary Russell, and to be him being a professional boxer, an outstanding boxer, and just not having that activity, I think it just eventually caught up to him. But it is what it is, man. But so with Magsayo, he's a power puncher, he's a counter puncher, and when he hits you, boy, it sounds like explosions going off. And, the Philippines, there's always been a lot of great fighters out in the Philippines, but Manny Pacquiao put the Philippines on the map. And guys like Magsayo, who's a Filipino fighter, he's taken boxing to that neck. Well, he ain't taking it to the next level. He's keeping it going for the Philippines. I'll put it to you that way, because I don't know who's going to take boxing to the level Pacquiao took it to, but Magsayo's keeping it going, keeping it alive for the Philippines, man. But Vargas is 35-0 at 22 KOs. And the thing about Magsayo, he's trained by Freddie Roach. We all know who Freddie Roach is. But this is the uniqueness of this fight. Two excellent fighters, 126 pounds, I believe. Magsayo, like 5'5", 5'6". Vargas, 35-0, 22 knockouts, being trained by Nacho Berenstein. You guys know who that is. Juan Manuel Marquez, old trainer. And Vargas fighting at 126. This man is 5'11", 126. So when these two come together, right, and Vargas is more technically sound than Magsayo. So Vargas just beats you down, chops you down, opens your face up. He can box. He can fight. And in this fight, I just think if Vargas isn't able to keep Magsayo at bay, fighting long, fighting smart, the way we know he can, he's going to have problems, because Magsayo, let me tell you, man, that guy hits hard with both hands. He comes inside, and he's not afraid. But I will say this. Magsayo, if Russell had both of his hands, I think Russell would have beat Magsayo. I really do. But Russell felt that power, and he didn't like it. So Magsayo, if he can get in there and land his shots on Vargas, then he can make it interesting, man. But I'm just not sure how it's gonna play out, because you have two outstanding trainers in those corners, and no matter what's going on in the ring, both of these fighters, they can make adjustments, but it's the corner. I'm telling you, I think the corner is going to make all the difference, because Freddie Roach is going to know if his guy can't win. Nacho Berenstein is going to know if his guy can't win. They're not going to sit there and keep sending that guy out to get tore out the frame. At some point, they'll just throw the towel and say, "No, a fight we can't win. No need to take unnecessary damage." But if it's back and forth, they have the ebb and flow and everything, they're going to keep them in there. They're going to keep trying, tweaking strategies, and just trying to get the guy to get the upper hand and get the victory. But right now, Magsayo is not a difficult fighter to figure out. He comes forward and tries to get inside the brawl. He has solid power, and that was on display when he brutally knocked out Julio Ceja to set up his title shot. But you got to get in range to land. And on a lanky fighter like Vargas, that's easier said than done. The Mexican is a better fighter on a technical level, like I said, and has the ability to utilize reach while picking apart a lot of opponents, man. And he fought some decent opponents and picked them apart. So the odds heading to the fight are a lot closer than what we may think. It's just a stylistic matchup, and I just think some of this stuff is some of the troubles that Magsayo had in his career, including his struggles over the one-arm Russell, it just seems like a fight where Vargas can dictate the range and pace and work his way to a decision in the second weight class. But he's going to have to do that by getting beyond that power of Magsayo, and I just think at some point Magsayo is going to start getting to him, and we're going to just see how Vargas responds. That being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to the veterans. Philippines versus Mexico. Freddie Roach versus Nacho Berenstein. This is a fight you don't want to miss. I'm not just saying that. I'm telling you, someone's going to get hurt in this fight. Don't miss it. Y'all take care. I'm in the breeze.